Breaking now, a young girl struck by lightning as a second wave of ferocious hailstorms smashed the southeast. A major clean-up after cyclonic winds rip roofs off homes and toss planes through the air. A child snatched in a stolen car on the Gold Coast, the thief tonight on the run. Fears lives could be lost as videos emerge of young criminals targeting Queensland paramedics. Grief and anger grip Israel tonight as its military accidentally shoots dead 3 hostages in Gaza. And a multi-million-dollar flip, the luxury coastal home setting a new Queensland record.
This is 9 News Queensland.
Good evening to you. We begin with breaking news tonight. 2 people, including a young girl, have been struck by lightning as severe storms smash the southeast. Suburbs are being served a double dose of destruction in the wake of last night's deadly deluge. Our team of reporters are live across the southeast for you tonight. First of all, I want to go to Meg Sides in Beerwah. Meg, good evening to you. That young girl we just mentioned is fighting for life.
Good evening, Wendy. Well, that 10-year-old girl was rushed to the Sunshine Coast University Hospital at around 2:20 this afternoon after she was struck by lightning at her house in Beerwah. Now, neighbours have told us they heard a loud crack of thunder and then shortly after, their street was surrounded by emergency services, including critical care paramedics. Now, we are told that this evening that girl is in a critical condition, still very much fighting for her life. But further south, a little later in the afternoon, a second person was struck by lightning. That second person was a man in his 60s at Bigara Waters. We were told by emergency services that he was alert and speaking when they arrived, and luckily he is in a stable condition tonight. Wendy.
Meg Sides there, thank you. And as we go to air this evening, the damage from these storms remains very widespread right across the southeast. Abby Guerin joins us live. Abby, good evening to you. Now, thousands are without power as we go to air tonight. What's the latest?
Wendy, just as Energex crews were trying to get on top of the outages caused by last night's storms, there are now many more suburbs that have been cut off. As we go to air, about 20,000 homes are without power this evening. Some of the worst affected areas are Doonan and Yandina on the Sunshine Coast, and we're told that they may not be up and running again until late tomorrow. This latest wave of storms that swept through this evening came and went pretty quickly. We did see 4-centimetre sized pieces of hail through Bow Desert, 90-kilometre-an-hour wind gusts out at Amberley, and out west 42 millimetres of rain fell in just half an hour at Springshaw, which was pretty unexpected. Now, it thankfully wasn't as destructive as what we saw overnight. Some very frightening scenes across the southeast and the strongest winds we have seen in some parts in almost 80 years. This is the aftermath of a storm cell bearing the strength of a Category 3 cyclone. Queensland's southeast corner didn't see it coming.
It just really started to rain, the wind went crazy, and I made it into that bay there just before the roof came over, but it was so quick.
The system unleashing about 6 minutes of fury suburb by suburb on Brisbane's south side.
An event like this, like a microburst coming out of a severe thunderstorm, tends to be quite short-acting, quite short-lived.
It sent caravans sliding at Archerfield, flipping a B-double. Oh, no! Trees toppled onto cars in Maruka. Holy At Yurong-Pili, hail bounced off the bitumen. 190,000 lightning strikes lit up the sky. The system, short, sharp and deadly. These are a 30-year-old Murray man's final moments captured on CCTV. His Good Samaritan act, moving a fallen tree, turned to tragedy. Electrocuted by a fallen power line. Funds now being raised by his grieving family.
Any fatality of a Queenslander in an event like that is tragic, and I was certainly very sad to hear that news.
Wind speeds of 169 kilometres an hour were recorded at Archerfield Airport, matching that of a small tornado, much stronger than we saw from Cyclone Jasper up north earlier this week and leaving millions of dollars in damage. To give you an idea of just how fierce these winds were, this Cessna 172 on top was actually tethered to the ground 4 parking bays down. The cable has snapped and it's been dragged about 50 metres this way, and there was no smooth landing. It speared straight into another aircraft.
Yeah, we're at least ankle deep at some point in water, if not higher up our legs. Got hit a couple of times here with a bit of hail and down the other side of my body.
The roof of this Rockley motorcycle gear store was sprayed across hundreds of metres.
This was kind of like the epicentre, that's what we're calling it, the epicentre of the cyclone.
35,000 homes lost power and dozens of flights in and out of Brisbane were cancelled and delayed, wreaking havoc in holiday season.
Quite a number of those aircraft and crew were out of position. They were in other cities when they needed to be here in Brisbane.
First day of a holiday. Thank you very much.
Affected residents wasting no time in cleaning up, bracing for more severe storms this weekend. Abby Guerin, 9 News.
Let's go straight to weather expert Luke Bradnam now. Luke, which are the areas in the firing line as we go to air right now?
Well, Wendy, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for all of southeast Queensland, but for us on the Gold Coast and the majority of the city, this system has now moved offshore. I want to show you the radar. You can see for yourself, it's really the northern end of the Sunshine Coast stretching right the way up to around 1770 that is seeing activity at the moment. The heaviest of the storms right now and the most destructive part of this storm is heading around Rainbow Beach right now and heading in a direction towards Harvey Bay, Maryborough and Billawheeler are certainly in the firing line. But this system nowhere near as big as the system that ripped through the southeast last night. It won't last as long. That system last night stretched on till the around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night for many of us, and nor is it as powerful as we just heard those winds, less than half of what we saw around the southeast last night. The real concern, Wendy, is these storms are being arced up by the warm temps we have around at the moment. We are in the middle of a mini heat wave. Tomorrow will be the warmest day of that heat wave. Severe storms, certainly a possibility again for our Sunday. I'll be back with all the latest warnings, the full forecast a little later.
All right, Luke, we'll see you soon. Thank you. And as Luke just mentioned, the southeast has sweltered through another scorching day. Those temperatures soaring well above the December average. Heat wave warnings are in place, with those conditions likely to stick around.
Even Santa got out for a surf early.
It's very festive, it's very fun. It's a bit of chaos, a bit of mayhem. Got to keep your wits about you, but it's good fun.
Trying to beat the heat.
You got to get up earlier because it's just too hot. As soon as the sun comes out, it's game over.
The Bureau issuing a heatwave warning as temperatures soared into the mid-30s.
This one's letting you know that summer's here, yeah?
The beach is going to be a must, but I'm going to have my umbrella, sun cream on at all times and in the water.
Beaches packed, every man and his dog soaking up the sun.
Perfect conditions, there's no sweep. You know, lifeguards are on duty. It's really good. Beautiful day today.
The mercury rising up to 8 degrees above average right across the southeast.
The worst affected areas are likely to be around the Ipswich area and the Lockie Valley, so temperatures generally in the high 30s there, 37, 38 degrees.
Brisbane reaching 33 degrees, Amberley, Gatton and Gympie feeling the heat at 36 degrees.
Conditions are going to be sweltering all weekend. The beach, the place to be to cool down. Reprieve is only expected to come on Monday.
The heat really peaking on the Sunday and probably won't be until Thursday or so where we'll see those temperatures finally return to average or even below.
Some retreated indoors to escape the heat, packing out air-conditioned shopping centres. But many embraced the sizzling day, skiing, soaring, jetting and splashing into summer. Gracie Richter, 9 News.
There are fears tonight lives will be lost if our youth crime crisis isn't brought under control. The latest targets are paramedics. Let's go live now to Yasmin Bonnell in the newsroom. Yasmin, good evening to you. Shocking video has emerged of a group deliberately blocking an ambulance. It's hard to believe.
That's right, Wendy. In the last week alone, paramedics have been targeted on at least 3 separate occasions in Townsville while trying to respond to emergencies. Now, this video posted to social media shows you exactly the type of thing they've been dealing with. Juveniles filming themselves parked outside a major ambulance station. You can see them pulling out onto the street just as an ambulance is on its way to a Code 1 job. The youths blocking it, forcing the vehicle to stop. Another video also posted of youths torching a stolen white Hilux yesterday, hours after a police car was damaged by kids with a fire extinguisher. Here's what paramedics in Townsville had to say.
I suspect there's a few more of these incidents have happened over time. It could absolutely end in a life being lost.
Wendy, thankfully the paramedics involved in these recent incidents haven't been injured, but police say obviously they are still shaken. Anyone with more information or video is urged to come forward.
All right. Yasmin in our newsroom, thank you. Well, a man is tonight on the run after stealing a car with a baby inside on the Gold Coast. Let's go live to Gracie Richter at Varsity Lakes. Gracie, a terrifying ordeal for those parents.
Wendy, a very frightening ordeal, as you say, in Varsity Lakes there. Thankfully, that baby girl was returned in this white sedan, which was used as a getaway car for thieves within 3 minutes of being taken. The family was going about their day at their home on Gildea Drive, running errands, returning home around midday when they left their 1-year-old daughter sleeping in the car as they watched on nearby. A man then walks alongside the Subaru Forester, jumping in and speeding off. Terrifyingly, the baby girl is still inside. Neighbours and the parents frantically chase down the car. Thankfully, that little girl was returned safe and well. The parents taking to social media asking locals to keep an eye out for their car, which is still outstanding. Police urging anyone who sees the silver 2020 Subaru Forester with registration 411EL3 to contact them. And Wendy, in a statement to 9 News, the family thanks the police and neighbours for their assistance and also encourages everyone to get GPS tags to put in their vehicles.
All right, Gracie Richter there at Varsity Lakes, thank you. I want to head overseas now, and there's outrage and anger tonight after Israel's Defence Force admitted to killing 3 Israeli hostages in Gaza by mistake. 3 of the captives were spotted by the army during its ground invasion, soldiers identifying them as a threat and then opening fire.
Yotam Haim, Samir Talauka and Alon Shamriz. 3 young men who were kidnapped and held captive by Hamas for 10 long weeks. But it was those tasked with saving them who mistakenly shot these hostages dead. The IDF expresses deep remorse, says this spokesperson. The men were mistaken for terrorists during combat in Gaza City. It's unclear whether they were abandoned by Hamas or if they somehow escaped. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called it an unbearable tragedy and that the entire state of Israel will mourn, but insists we will bind up our wounds, learn the lessons and continue with the supreme effort to return all our abductees home safely. That will mean little to the families of the 3 men who have held hope for so long. Tonight, relatives of hostages protesting in Tel Aviv over the devastating mistake. 28-year-old Yotam filmed this video on October 7 before he was snatched from his kibbutz. His mother has campaigned tirelessly for his release, even flying to Australia as part of a delegation to meet the Prime Minister.
He loves animals, he has a big heart, very special person. Of course, we want him back soon, as soon as it's possible.
The casualties in this war are mounting. 18,000 Palestinians have been killed in less than 3 months. America now urging Israel to scale down its offensive.
Certainly more can be done to protect innocent life, and we're going to continue to urge and work with our Israeli counterparts to that end.
Part of the complexity here is that we're fighting in a civilian environment.
That burden does not lessen the IDF's responsibility to act in a way that distinguishes between terrorist targets and innocent people.
In the United States, Lauren Tomazi, 9 News.
Back home now, and fresh faces and a fresh focus. That's the Premier's new slogan as he works to finalise his cabinet and win back voters ahead of the election. Stephen Miles is spending the weekend meeting with ministers, making key portfolio decisions before they're sworn in on Monday.
Getting used to the top job.
Stephen Miles, Queensland Premier. It is the first time I've said that.
As the Premier and his deputy adjust to their own new titles.
The Treasurer and I and our entire... Today, the Deputy Premier and I...
The news spreading across the globe, a pat on the back from former US Vice President Al Gore on the Mars government's ambitious new climate target, a target he plans to legislate next year. They'll spend the weekend deciding on their new cabinet, with 5 new faces joining the fold.
We're not going to waste a moment. This is about fresh faces and a fresh focus.
Meeting with ministers today.
We'll make the changes we need to make sure that the government is focused on the priorities of Queenslanders, but no more than that.
Avoiding questions on whether Yvette Darth will remain Attorney-General or whether Police Minister Mark Ryan will be moved into the role.
I want to have those conversations. Please don't take that to mean anything is decided one way or the other.
All moves will be finalised this weekend before the new look cabinet is sworn in on Monday.
It's the same people who've sat around the table that have delivered the youth crime crisis, the housing crisis and the health crisis. And Queenslanders are looking and they're seeing more of the same.
The LNP might be entirely focused on October and their careers and their future. We are focused on Queensland and Queenslanders and delivering for them for this next 10 months.
Top of the agenda, will the Gabba redevelopment still go ahead? The Olympics infrastructure plan now very much up in the air.
We need to do that in conjunction with all of the partners. We'll need to talk to all of them before we settle those details.
Next Sides, 9 News.
In far north Queensland, more than 5,500 residents remain without power in the wake of ex-tropical cyclone Jasper. Some communities battling through a 3rd day of isolation cut off by the floodwaters there. As the region recovers, holidaymakers are being urged not to cancel their planned trips.
Potentially we stand to lose $60 million in lost visitor expenditure. Don't cancel on Cairns. We are actually ready to go.
Residents in the eastern and inland parts of North Queensland are bracing for more rain as ex-tropical cyclone Jasper moves slowly westward over Cape York Peninsula. Well, Australian borrowers could be in for some relief next year, with easing inflation in the United States increasing hopes of a rate cut here. The move could also bring political relief for the government ahead of an election shaping up to be fought on cost of living issues.
It's been a big year.
The PM looking back on the year with a nod to Australians struggling with everyday costs.
Global inflation is being felt here at home. Families are feeling pressure.
And with his government under pressure to find solutions,
we're seeing a government with no answers.
The opposition also sees an opportunity. Today, unveiling the Liberal candidate for the Victorian seat of Aston, claimed by Labor in a by-election earlier this year, as it readies for an election fight on the cost of living front.
Families in Aston are doing it really tough.
And we see no reason as to why it's not going to sadly continue to be the case up until the next election.
There is one reason things could improve.
The fight against inflation is a global one. The US is in the lead, and over there, they're starting to think they've won the war.
America's central bank has indicated it could cut rates 3 times next year, raising hopes Australia may head down the same path.
It's increasingly likely that we get rate cuts in Australia within the next year.
With Australians due to head to the polls by May 2025, a rate cut before then could ease some of the political pressure on Labor, which went to the last election promising to improve the cost of living. It's still promising things will get better.
But we've got a big agenda for 2024, delivering more cost of living relief.
But in these uncertain economic times, there are no guarantees.
The grind is going to stay mostly in place through next year.
Fiona Willan, 9 News.
Still ahead tonight, a major victory, Prince Harry's legal win against the British tabloids. Rush hour chaos as 2 train carriages collide. We'll have details on that. Friends actor Matthew Perry's shock cause of death revealed. And from 200 grand to 28 million. At the end of sport, the record southeast real estate flip. Welcome back. In a High Court judgment set to have profound implications for the British media landscape, a UK judge has ruled the tabloid Mirror newspaper did indeed hack Prince Harry's phone to obtain stories. The Duke of Sussex has called the ruling vindicating and affirming, urging police to now investigate.
He's taken on the tabloids and won, at least in part, a High Court judge ruling Prince Harry's phone was hacked by the Daily Mirror. And there was in fact extensive phone hacking carried out by the Mirror Group newspapers between 2006 and 2011.
Today is a great day for truth as well as accountability.
Prince Harry's lawyer reading out a statement from the Duke, who didn't attend court, after Justice Fancourt concluded his phone was hacked to a modest extent, finding that 15 out of the 33 articles focused on in the trial were the result of unlawful information gathering. Prince Harry had accused the publishers of hacking his phone for years to illegally obtain stories about his relationship with his family and ex-girlfriend Chelsea Davy.
I've been told that slaying dragons will get you burned. But in light of today's victory and the importance of doing what is needed for a free and honest press, it is a worthwhile price to pay.
The judge also finding Piers Morgan, former editor of the Daily Mirror, was aware and involved.
I've never hacked a phone or told anybody else to hack a phone. And nobody has produced any actual evidence to prove that I did.
The Duke's been awarded more than $260,000 in damages for the distress caused. During the dramatic 7-week trial, he'd spoken of suffering bouts of paranoia and depression. Mirror Group newspapers saying, where historical wrongdoing took place, we apologise unreservedly, have taken full responsibility and paid appropriate compensation. Prince Harry became the first royal in 130 years to appear in a witness box during the trial, and the evidence heard there, along with today's judgment, could have big implications for his other phone hacking cases against British newspapers. Harry's feud with the UK's tabloids far from over. In London, Karianne Greenbank, 9 News.
More than 500 people have been sent to hospital after a rush-hour crash on the Beijing metro. 102 people suffered fractures when 2 trains collided on the snowy metro line. The crash is believed to have been caused by a signal and braking malfunction. A Ukrainian politician has detonated multiple hand grenades during a village council meeting, injuring at least 26 people. The man entered the headquarters in the middle of a debate about finances, asking to speak before activating those explosives. It's being investigated as an act of terrorism. An autopsy has revealed Matthew Perry died from the effects of the anaesthetic ketamine. The 54-year-old Friends actor was found in his pool in October. Drowning was deemed a secondary factor and his death was ruled an accident. Well, up next, taking flight tonight, the top holiday destinations for 2024. The surprise new international and local destinations quickly becoming favourites. Where you need to book now, plus the tips to help you save. That story is just ahead. Also, still to come tonight, sucked into a tornado and found alive, a baby's remarkable survival. Plus, a Hollywood actor's heart-stopping crash captured on dash cam. The airport workers caught with $2 million worth of stolen goods. And the royals like you've never seen before. We go inside the King's coronation. A complex of garages has gone up in flames, destroying a car and damaging 6 units at Mermaid Waters. Just before midday, the owner of the engulfed garage attempted to put out the fire with a hose as the flames spread.
My neighbours have lost a fair bit of their property, all the stuff that they had in their shed. So it's a shame, but, you know, it's just hard to have this happen at this time of the year.
Police say a number of explosions were heard. Investigations are continuing. A Brisbane man has now been charged over a violent assault of a baby. The 17-month-old child was taken to Mount Isa Hospital with critical head injuries in January. Investigations led detectives to arrest a 34-year-old from the Gap, charging him with grievous bodily harm, a domestic violence offence. He'll stay behind bars until a court date in February. Well, an incredible story of survival has emerged from the destruction of a deadly Tennessee tornado. A 4-month-old boy sucked up in the wind has now been found alive, laying in the branch of a tree.
A baby's playpen wrapped around a tree, the family's mobile home obliterated.
The roof came off first, the tip of the tornado came down and picked up the bassinet with my baby Lord in it. and he was the first thing to go up.
As the tornado hit, Sydney Moore dived on top of her 1-year-old Princeton.
Literally, the moment I jumped on him, the walls collapsed. I was being really crushed. Like, I couldn't breathe.
Sydney's fiancé reached for their 4-month-old baby Lord, but he'd already been taken by the wind.
I thought he was dead. I was pretty sure he was dead and we weren't going to be able to find him.
Tossed into a tree 8 metres away from the bassinet he was sleeping in.
It looked like a little tree cradle. He was just laying there.
Now safe and happy with just a scratch on his face, his mum holding her boys a little tighter tonight.
Like, those kids are what saved me. Like, they saved me from everything, and I don't know what I would have done without them.
Sophie Upcroft, 9 News.
That is incredible. Well, a dash cam appears to have captured the crash that totaled Michael B. Jordan's Ferrari. It shows the actor's car driving through Hollywood when it suddenly hits a parked Kia, damaging both of the vehicles. Well, we all know lost luggage is a common downside to air travel, but no passenger expects this. 14 workers at a Spanish airport have been arrested on suspicion of stealing $3.3 million worth of items from checked-in baggage. This is just some of the loot taken from the Tenerife South Airport. You can see it there on your screen, that handles about 11 million passengers a year. Well, an urgent warning. Stay with us next. The fireworks dangers this New Year's Eve. Also ahead, the popular holiday destination that could be cheaper in 2024. Bluey and Bingo bring festive fun to kids in need. And if the boot fits, hundreds try their luck for a free pair of shoes. Well, of course, we have the big pineapple, we've got the big banana, and today Brisbane was home to the big boot, the giant statue in Queen Street Mall, marking the site of a unique competition. Hundreds queuing outside RM Williams, hoping the shoe fits. The game is as simple as it sounds as well. Shoppers are able to keep a mystery pair of boots from the store for free if they were the correct size. Well, it won't be long until Queenslanders are seeing out 2023, most of us with a bang. But we're being warned tonight to leave the fireworks to the professionals or risk suffering dangerous consequences.
Ringing in the new year on Stradbroke Island back in 2016. Dozens of families celebrating until it all went to chaos.
It all happened very quickly.
Unknown partygoers setting off illegal fireworks, leaving Lisa van der Wade scarred for life.
We were standing in a semicircle and it hit me in the leg. And my hand was just covered in blood. I thought it was water.
Incidents like Lisa's prompting an urgent warning ahead of this year's celebrations.
Around this time of year, we have an increase in the use of illegal fireworks, which is incredibly concerning.
People caught with illegal fireworks in Queensland risk fines of up to $60,000 or 6 months in prison.
If you're in possession of illegal fireworks, you can surrender them to RSHQ without any penalty by calling 1300 739 868.
Yasmin Bennell, 9 News.
Hundreds of southeast families doing it tough this festive season have come together for an early Christmas celebration. The Salvation Army inviting more than 450 people to the convention centre for the 13th annual Salvo's Christmas Lunch.
All the people that have come along today, they're people that we've supported through the year. So they've often, they've been having a tough year. They've needed some support, and we wanted to bless them by inviting them to come along to today and to enjoy the day. A lot of people are stressed about Christmas this year. So, we're hoping that people will come along today and maybe put those worries aside for one day. But we know that it's going to be difficult. Just because they're coming along to a lunch doesn't solve all their problems.
Recent research from the Salvation Army found 1 in 10 Australians will rely on charitable support to get by this Christmas. Of those people, almost half will be reaching out for the first time. Bluey and Bingo have made celebrity appearances at Brisbane's Convention Centre today. Thousands of children living with disabilities, complex needs and social disadvantages gathering for some festive fun with characters from the smash hit television series.
Bluey, 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 Bingo, we are so
so excited for you to be here. We are all packed and ready to go to the beach.
That's great. The kids were treated to rides, face painting, an illusionist and a petting zoo. Well, just ahead for you, a Queensland batter injured during the first test in Perth. We'll have details on that. The Broncos team up with the Starlight Foundation for a special Christmas delivery. Then at the end of sport, a rare look behind the royal curtain as Charles and Camilla prepared for the coronation. Plus the $200,000 home that's just sold for nearly $30 million.
And storms have cleared here on the Gold Coast in its wake. A beautiful sunset. Still a severe thunderstorm, though, for northern parts of southeast Queensland. I'll have all the latest warnings, the full forecast, coming up soon.
Nathan Lyon is just 1 wicket away from joining Shane Warne and Glenn McGrath as the only Australians to take 500 test scalps. Lyon came perilously close to reaching the milestone on the way to ending Pakistan's first innings in the first test. The Aussies returned to the crease off to a shaky start, with Dave Warner and Marnus Labuschagne both falling cheaply.
Searching for quick wickets on day 3, the Aussie skipper liked what he saw.
Straight through him. Third ball of the morning.
Pat Cummins centimetres away from a second scalp, but the next breakthrough came from Australia's 4th choice paceman.
Edge and gone, and Mitchell Marsh and Perth. It had to be, didn't it?
Pakistani opener Imran al-Haq withstood the pace barrage, notching a half-century in an innings that lasted 199 balls.
But he's gone. He couldn't help himself, Imran al-Haq, and Lyon has another, just 2 away from 500.
Lyon's wicket-taking milestone would have to wait.
Got him!
Mitchell Starc morphing from the sublime to the ridiculous in a matter of balls.
That's a Steve Harmison type situation there.
An offer from a youngster in the crowd to help out, not needed. Josh Hazlewood's perfectly executed bouncer, reducing Pakistan to 7 for 230.
The steepling bounce catches so many young touring batsmen by surprise.
The tactic of bowling short continued to pay dividends.
Yes, there's Makawaja. Diving forwards, it's a good grab.
Some sharp glove work from Alex Carey put Lyon just 1 victim away from his 500th test wicket. The anticipation, though, subdued when Australia's other off-spinner ended the tourist's innings.
Travis Head, crowd's not sure what to make of it, but Pakistan are all out.
First innings century maker Dave Warner unable to replicate his day 1 heroics.
Oh, that's awkward. That's awkward. Very ugly and out. Just like that, David Warner.
The opener out for a duck. Marnus Labuschagne, the next target.
It was a nasty one for Labuschagne.
After undergoing a medical examination of his hand injury, the Queenslander opted to bat on but was clearly hindered.
Another wicket goes down. Labuschagne falls. Shazad with the wicket in Australia, 2 for 5.
Steve Smith mounting a recovery mission alongside Usman Khawaja as Australia's lead surges past 240 runs. Adam Jackson, 9 News.
It's been one of the most talked about signatures in the NRL, and now Panthers playmaker Jerome Luai is on the verge of signing a 5-year, $6 million deal with the Tigers. Under the NRL's new rules, the Panthers have 10 days to counter the offer, but all signs point to Tiger Town.
Panthers players sweltering in the Penrith heat this morning. Jerome Luai running alone as he continues his comeback from shoulder surgery. The premiership winner putting in the hard yards after getting through an even tougher conversation with his coach, telling Ivan Cleary he's leaving the club he loves. The 5'8" then pulled his teammates together, and this is the moment he told them he was on the verge of signing a deal with the Tigers. A rub of Romy's head before players put their hands in and came together again. In a show of support, handshakes and hugs were aplenty between one of the most popular Panthers and some of his best mates. Later re-emerging, he needed a staff member to open the club gates, which were padlocked to keep cameras out. But Luai's never been one to shy away from the spotlight.
Thank you.
Hey, Romy. Cappuccino? The superstar's next stop, Tiger Town. As long as Luai doesn't have a change of heart and back out of his 5-year deal, the 5/8 will arrive here at the Tigers Concord base in 12 months, ahead of the 2025 season. This afternoon, Luai posted this on social media, saying, "No pen to paper here. I'll let yous know when a deal is done. Big love." Zach Bailey, 9 News.
The A-League's battle of the brothers in the coaching box descended into a spiteful affair, with Western United mentor John Aloisi red-carded for disputing a referee decision, forcing him to watch the second half from the stands. With brother Ross in charge of the Roar, Brisbane led 1-0 before United finished with a late flurry, scoring the match winner in injury time to escape with a 2-1 victory, only to further intensify the sibling rivalry.
Yeah, I don't think my brother will invite me over for Christmas. It was a bit heated, wasn't it? Look, we were just happy that we got the result today.
The result also prevents the Roar from moving to the top of the A-League table. Four-time Ironman champion Ali Day has won the series opener at Manly. The Gold Coaster unstoppable, finishing the endurance race 1 minute ahead of second place. Also from the Sunshine State, Lana Rogers clawed her way back to chase down the pack, winning the women's event in a sprint up the beach. Another shining light for the Firebirds after weeks of bitter pay negotiations for the sport, locking in Pocket Rocket centre and captain Kim Revallion for the 2024 season. It'll be her 8th Super Netball campaign in the purple dress. Tiger Woods could be about to win one of the few titles that's eluded him throughout his golfing career, teaming up with his 14-year-old son at the PGA Tour's PNC Championship. After a runner-up finish in 2021, Team Woods is among the favourites, with Charlie now looking all grown up.
We've fed off of our competitive nature, and we've really pushed each other to become better, and it's just a fun atmosphere.
The 36-hole tournament tees off in Florida tomorrow. And a makeover for Broncos wingers Corey Oates and Jesse Arthurs at the Queensland Children's Hospital. Special guests at the Starlight Foundation's annual Christmas party, signing autographs and handing out some early presents to kids who'll wait for Santa in hospital. Some very happy faces there, Wendy. It was nice of them to pop by.
Yeah, much appreciated as well. Bronte, thank you very much for that. Well, have a look at this. It's the third highest property sale in Queensland's history. It's 33 Ross Crescent in Sunshine Beach, and it's been privately sold for $28 million. Boasting 3,500 square metres of land, 62 metres of beach frontage and 5 bedrooms, that residence directly overlooks the Coral Sea. Changing hands for the first time in nearly 40 years, it last sold in 1987 for just $200,000. The buyer wants to remain confidential. Wow. Well, it was an historic royal occasion, of course, and tonight we've been given a behind-the-scenes look of the King's coronation. A new documentary narrated by Helen Boehm Carter shows the King joking around with staff just moments before leaving the palace.
I can fly. Do we go and get ourselves organised down there?
The 90-minute documentary will air on Boxing Day. Well, in just 3 minutes, the holiday hotspots for 2024 tonight, where you should book now and how to save. That story just moments away for you. But first of all, Luke Bradnam is back with a check of the weather. Luke, it's going to be even warmer tomorrow, is that right?
That's right, Wendy. A real summer scorcher on the way for our Sunday. A couple of degrees warmer for all of us. I will let you know when it will finally start to cool down. The full weather app coming up next.
Whether you're planning a holiday at home or away, chances are you'll be copping higher costs. But there are positive signs on the horizon for next year, with one destination in particular that's captured our hearts.
Smiles at the airport, just the start of holiday fun for the Cranes. The Sydney family of 6 is jet-setting to Japan.
A couple of days in Tokyo, then the bullet train down to Osaka, Universal Studios.
Their overseas adventure won't take them far from one familiar sound, the Australian accent. Airbnb says Australia's top searches for overseas stays in 2024 are overwhelmingly in Japan. 8 out of the top 10 cities, Taipei and Hong Kong, also make the list. Skyscanner data also reflects a growing love affair. 3 Japanese cities in its top 5 trending destinations for next year, along with 2 in China.
Places like Korea as well, so Seoul is starting to trend, which could be the next Tokyo.
Closer to home, headline events are also inspiring a jump in tour tourism, with a rise in staycation bookings on Airbnb.
Inner city Melbourne, so places like Richmond and East Melbourne, which of course is where the tennis is held. And then in Queensland, we're seeing Townsville and Rockhampton, and Rockhampton Beef Week is coming back next year.
But whether it be at home or away, we're paying more. Since the end of the pandemic, the cost of travel has skyrocketed faster than inflation. Extra international flights will hopefully ease the pressure in 2024, including to Japan, China, Vietnam, Singapore and the USA. And Qantas will fly Perth to Paris direct just in time for the Olympics. No such luck domestic. Amex GBT predicts a 3.1% rise in prices in 2024. Despite higher living costs, it seems many Australians aren't willing to sacrifice their holidays. CanStar asked Aussie savers which expenses they were reluctant to give up. Travel came in number 1. When there's a will, there's a way.
Because we have somebody to stay with, it doesn't matter.
What we've paid $5,000 for in April this year, now it's going to be $15,000, so that's a huge saving.
So find a friend's couch, book early and start packing. Annalise Bolt, 9 News.
It is time now for our full weather forecast. Luke, what warnings remain in place tonight?
Well, Wendy, still a severe thunderstorm warning in place for southeast Queensland, stretching up to the Wide Bay Burnett, but it is for areas mostly north of Noosa for southeast Queensland. Right now we're seeing the heaviest of this storm around Gympie, stretching up towards Rainbow Beach. In fact, just east of Gympie a short time ago, over 100 millimetres of rain falling in a very short space of time. Good news, we should see it clear within the hour. Potentially more severe storms on the way tomorrow. If you look at today's temperatures, this is why we've had those storms brewing this afternoon, all up above average. We're one of the coolest spots in the southeast down here on the Gold Coast, topping out at 29 degrees. But 33 the top for the city, 36 for Ipswich, and a lot warmer tomorrow. Tomorrow's weather map still heavy showers for the far north of the state, courtesy of ex-tropical cyclone Jasper. A trough stretching through the west of the state will push showers, potentially severe storms to us in the southeast, as well as scorching temps. Around the grounds tomorrow, partly cloudy for Sydney, sunny for Melbourne, mostly sunny for Adelaide and Hobart, mostly sunny for Perth, and for you in Darwin, a shower, possible storm. Back home, heavy falls again for Cairns, only light falls expected for Townsville, and a cloudy day for Mackay. And then in the west, partly cloudy conditions, but very hot for the Isa right the way through to Roma. Possible light showers for Rocky and Gladstone tomorrow, and then possible storms again through the Fraser Coast, with warm temps. Gympie tomorrow getting up to the mid-30s. Here in the southeast, possible showers from late morning, and then possible severe storms from late afternoon. She will be a scorcher. The sunny coast tomorrow getting to 32. Ipswich topping out at 38 degrees, and in the low 30s for us on the Gold Coast. Out on the bay tomorrow, not a bad morning. Northwesterly winds to start with, but shifting northeast and getting up to 20 knots. For the city, heading for a top of 34 degrees tomorrow with a possible severe storm, and then looking ahead, partly cloudy for Monday and Tuesday, a shower or two for Wednesday. For Ipswich, possible storms tomorrow and again on Monday, partly cloudy for Tuesday. Here on the Gold Coast, partly cloudy for Sunday through to Monday, and a shower or two for Wednesday through to Saturday, and a pretty similar outlook for you up on the Sunshine Coast as well. Let's have a look at the beaches for tomorrow. Well, cracking way to start the weekend. Small, fun, glassy waves on offer for the board riders, and with the scorching temps, the beach was the place to be. Swell not exactly pumping, but you can see if you bust out the longboard, there's some fun ones around, and get used to this small swell. It's set to hang around for most of next week. Tomorrow, almost a carbon copy of what we had today. Here's the plan of attack. Hit the open beaches up on the sunny coast down here on the Gold Coast, and really you want your surfing done by about midday day once those northeasterly winds kick in. Same go for beachgoers. Water temps absolutely beautiful, up around 25 degrees, but the morning's definitely the pick. And she was a pearler of a day offshore today, and there were some good catches. Keely Rose charters with fish of the day, this beautiful red emperor, and still some small dollies off the Gold Coast. Fish of the Deep charters getting these earlier in the week. Great stuff. And Wendy, Childers and Rainbow Beach really copping it at the moment with those severe storms around. Tomorrow's could be even more severe with those scorching temps. So take care if you're out and about in the afternoon. Have fun out there, guys. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Great, Luke. Thanks for that. See you soon. And that is 9 News Queensland this Saturday. Thanks for your company. Deborah Knight is along next with a current affair. I'm Wendy Kingston. From all of us here, have a great evening. Good night.